Good morning, I'm Gwiggles, and I am going to be going over a couple of things that I do in order to get inspired or find things and subjects that are going to help me create whatever piece that I'm looking to create that day. Excuse me. I woke up just a little while ago, so as you can see, I'm fresh. I've had my cereal and I got my cup of coffee. Nothing special. I haven't even put my contacts in, but this is usually how I go about my day. I'm pretty chill. That's obviously going to change when I get my job, but I just like to ease into things and not stress myself out. But one of you requested I make a video about how I go about, there's a moth in here, he's been traumatizing me for days, go about what I do to find, I guess, the inspiration for my subject matter, or when I go about to find stuff to create. And I know everybody gets to that point where they're not so sure, like they get stuck, they're like, oh man, I want to draw, but like, what do I do? Especially when it comes to original stuff. When it comes to making, and this is for me, I'm not speaking for anyone else, so this is all going to be my personal experience and what I do to do things. So this is by no means the end-all be-all. I personally get a lot of inspiration from music. I get inspiration from, movies, television, comic books, video games, whatever's making me happy. But I'm going to be going over how I find that. And it's, there's inspiration all around you, and you're not alone. So everybody goes through their little bouts of like, crap, what do I do? So the first thing, the most common thing that I do when it comes to finding like original stuff to look for is I will go on like blog websites, and I will, just typically now I can just go through like my dashboard on Tumblr or like Pinterest or WeHeartIt, and you can just go searching through that subject matter, and I save the images that, whether it be color palettes, whether it be just colors, or like compositions or pictures, anything that I really like where I'm like, oh, that is so cool, I will save it for later. When it comes to Tumblr, I'll just tag it and like inspiration for my blog, or I'll just save it. I had like a whole other blog full of like inspiration that I just used that to for tutorials, file away, so if I want something I'll just go through that blog and pick it up. I actually picked this idea up from Ari, Ursula Decay, my friend. When she is scrolling on her phone, things that she enjoys on Instagram, looking at other artists, when something inspires you, when you think that something's cool, she'll save the picture. Now, this is really important. When it's somebody else's work that you're inspired by, it's very important that you do not copy their work. You do not want to copy their work. Now, a lot of people might not understand why this is a bad thing, or some artists might not care, they find it as a compliment, what have you. But the main important thing is you're trying to find your artistic path, your artistic style, whatever it may be. You want to be you. You don't want to be someone else. What is important is when you save someone else's thing, like I have tons of people's artwork saved on my phone, whether it be for their color palettes, because I'd be like, oh my gosh, I want to use this color palette, because nobody owns a color palette, these colors. Or they did like a composition that was really clever and I want to try something. You pull things, little bitties that you like from their piece, and you incorporate it into your own style. Like for instance, let's just say I really like Babs Tarr's line art. I love her lines and how her style is her lines, and it's very expressive, it has character. When you see her line art, it doesn't even need to be colored. You know that Babs drew that. And I'll be like, okay, so this is how she draws her eyes, or this is how she draws. I'm having difficulty drawing noses. Ooh, I really like how Cameron Stewart draws his noses. Maybe I can figure out to incorporate in my style how to do it. That's just a plain example. But when it comes to like, I don't know what I want to do, I just woke up this morning, got my coffee, and I will just go through my tag. Now be careful, because you'll get lost on these websites and you'll spend hours. But just look for things that you love and enjoy and that interest you. For example, I'm gonna look through like my inspiration tag and I'll be like, okay, this is just, try and do like a warm-up. Get the idea out of your mind that everything you make needs to be perfect and everything you make needs to be able to sell. You are focusing on making art. Everything else will come along the way. If it turns into a masterpiece and it's like the best thing you ever made, then hell yeah. If it ends up just being a sketch, you drew today and you learned, and that's what's important. So right now I'll go through my inspiration tag and then I'll find something that inspires me and see if I can just make a drawing or something out of that. I probably could and should be using a screen capture for this, but it's unnecessary as, you know, this is just going to be a quick little thing. But this is, you know, my personal Tumblr, and I have a special tag section for inspiration. So as I go through Tumblr, and I haven't been recently, but just when I see things and they pop up, I will either save it and reblog it for myself and create like a compartment. This is, you can see it's my inspiration tag. So I'll be like, ooh, I love this skeletal mermaid, because you know, you guys have seen me draw skeletons and I love bones and mermaids, and this doesn't mean that I'm going to try and recreate this. A lot of artists do. They'll take something and then they will redraw the picture, and I suppose that's fine. But my personal preference, and as an illustrator, I don't really enjoy like taking a piece and then just painting the same thing. Like, photorealism is obviously, you know, it's an incredible skill, and it, you know, there's no denying to copy that picture exactly is cool, but I don't find a point to it. I want to take those elements and create my own, you know, unique something, and I will eventually, but I'm trying not to make a million mermaid things. I just painted Ariel, even though I want so bad, I want to do another skeleton mermaid, and I do want to do a space mermaid. This is also something really cool, especially for someone like me who, obviously from my unicorn bones thing, this is actually a real book I found, and it's called The Resurrectionist, and it's basically an anatomy guide for mythological creatures. And as soon as I get money, I will be getting this, because how awesome. So I have this in my inspiration tag, obviously for the pictures that this person so courteously posted, and so, you know, I can go back to reference those when I can, and to remember to purchase this book for myself. Now, I love bats, and you know what, considering this is going to be the first thing I draw and I want to warm up, and I think I'll do something for the monochromatic challenge, because yesterday I did, and I ended up getting a really bad migraine, so I just told myself to take a break. I would take this and be like, okay, perfect, this is awesome, I'm going to use this. But this is fine, something simple. Usually you want to start simple. Some people can't start with a warm-up. Some people, everybody, you know, everyone's different. Oops, that's the actual page for that, sorry. Everyone is different, and they, you know, Ari, my best friend, she's like me. I can't usually go and like do a warm-up and make it be quick and then get right into the business of what I'm supposed to be doing. I will turn my warm-up into like a fully fledged piece. Like I thought these bottles were cool and like creepy. I love Halloween. I thought this crystal was cool, and this colors and the palettes, just going through and finding, like, maybe if I don't use that color, maybe I'll look, this is a perfect reference for crystals if I ever wanted to use it. I thought this was really cool and spooky. As you guys can tell, I'm really weird, and as much as I love cute things and fun things, I really like dark and gritty horror things. Why is my own thing in my inspiration tag. Well, that was an accident. I'm not. This is Natalie Hall's work. If you're not familiar with her, she's a fantastic artist. She does very fine pen lines and drawings, and she's a tattoo artist. She's amazing. But I really like this fine line. She's so inspirational. And this is just, you know, to jumpstart. This is another artist. He does a lot of work for Marvel. They used a lot of his artwork for like that Marvel game with the cards on it and also covers. But I think I made this because I want to do something for Ghost Rider eventually, because look how beautiful that is. Just, and his technique and his textures, and just, it's just basically a tag to like jumpstart my thinking. Like, the other day I drew like a male Naga because I wanted to challenge myself and draw men, because obviously the go-to figure for everyone to draw is women, and I'm trying to challenge myself where that's concerned, and instead of always drawing women, because women, I don't know why, that's like a puzzle that I've been trying to figure out in my head. They're aesthetically pleasing and they're the go-to figure for pretty much all artwork, and it's really difficult for whatever reason to draw men and like get them on the same level. I don't know what that is. This is concept art from Dishonored, if I'm not mistaken. And just, this is just so beautiful. It's just a tag. It's what I do when I need to, here's my thing. Mermaids, of course, more mermaids. It's inspiring quotes from Microplayer. I love space too. Space is fun. But just, you know, anything to jumpstart your mind. But what I was getting at was, I didn't even draw Maleficent, but these horns, her crest inspired me, and so I put that on my creature. So even though I drew a man and it wasn't Maleficent, this horn, I just got the inspiration from her horns. Just something to jumpstart and kick your mind. And that's, you know, a perfect example, and that's why I have a tag. And that's what you can take. You don't have to take the whole thing. The important part is you're just jumpstarting your mind into being inspired and getting your creative juices flowing. And sometimes everyone needs that. Now, earlier this morning, my father and his friends were talking about bats, and I absolutely love bats, and this is, you know, one of the first things. So I think I'm going to do something with bats, just something simple and easy and monochromatic. So here you can see is just a little starter sketch that I did based off of that picture with all of the bats in the jars. And excuse my hair, I really need a haircut. So, I mean, the cage has nothing to do with the bats in the jars. I mean, like, they were in jars and I could have gone jars, but I just had the general idea of like, oh cool, something simple. Like, what if he was in a really disfigured cage and he's hanging on to the outside of the cage and there's little bones of like the other things that he's eating, and I don't know, I'm just gonna see where it takes me. It's my warm-up, it's my starter. I'm not putting, you know, any stress or pressure on myself with this, and it's important that when you don't have a direct goal in mind, that you don't put any stress, or you really should never put any stress or pressure on yourself, because it's just gonna make the process unenjoyable and so on. But that's just a perfect example of how I got to poof this stage. I was just like, oh, bats, yeah. And then one thing will lead to another. You know, you'll find that picture and then another thing will connect in your mind, and so on and so forth. And if not, keep looking, listen to some music. And here's another thing I can't stress enough. You're always going to get ideas. It's just like that thing where you can't remember something and then you go to lay in bed and then you think of everything, or you're in the shower. If you're like me, like, I think of almost everything in the shower. It's the most ridiculous thing. Don't mind these little codes. These are Crash Bandicoot codes because I don't have a memory card. I just recently bought Crash Bandicoot 1 on the PlayStation Network to play with my brothers because it's my favorite childhood game ever. And I had the original Crash Bandicoot game, but my youngest brother Nathan at the time, he ate it. But anyways, when I get an idea, I make sure to write it down because I will forget. And chances are you might forget too. So just whatever it is that you do, write it down. See, look, I already did blue, so I can cross her off. I already did Crash, cross her off. I mean, just whatever you can think of, just write it down. And even if you don't feel like the inspiration to do it then, you can always come back later. Like, I've had stuff written down forever, and that I wanted to do it, but I didn't have the inspiration to. You might have the inspiration to do it a year from now, and you had that idea way back when. You can still come back to it. So that's also what's important. Another amazing inspiration that I'm sure pretty much everyone can relate to is music. I get tons of inspiration when I'm listening to music, and actually I have something that I want to do eventually, and I thought of this forever ago. I was listening to, you know, Fear the Reaper, and I'm like, oh my god, I was in the car. That's another place. I'll be like, la 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 la, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, and I'll like, I think everyone kind of does this, and don't kill me if I'm wrong, but I do this when I'm listening to a song. Everybody, you know, you create like almost your own personal music video scenario in your head, and you like get images, and sometimes those images would be like, I want to illustrate that, and maybe I don't have a clear picture of what I want to illustrate that moment in time, and then sometimes I do. I kind of have a clear picture, so I just wrote down that, but you will eventually probably see that concept for me, and that's another thing. Like, it's not maybe completely original if I'm going based on the song, but if it's a song, like, I'm not saying illustrate the song, I'm saying use the song and whatever illustrative images that come into your mind. That is another way to get inspiration from, and it's another thing that I'm going to get inspiration from. I get it all the time, actually, and I know a lot of my friends that do as well. And the same goes for comic books, the same goes for other artists. I mean, here, I'm going to go find you an example. Art books, especially if it's from other artists, whether it be particularly our peers, our colleagues, concept art from like movies. Oh my gosh, when I was in college and I had, well, not money, but I wasn't worrying about other bills, I would buy tons of art books. I'm addicted to art books, and as soon as I get money again, I will be vastly collecting. I love it. I love buying art from other artists. I have a whole hoard of like prints from other artists and expansive, of course, I have collections of other art. I love it. I can't wait. I'm gonna decorate my new place and artwork of other people to inspire me, and I'm gonna make sure that my room or my studio, like, that's another thing that's important, is surrounding yourself with things that are creative. You guys have seen like my desk, I have it lined with vinyl pop figures or Tsum Tsums. I love Disney, I love comic books and Marvel, and it just, right now it's cluttered because I've moved several times, whether it be during college or after college, and like each time I've downsized from like having to have my own apartment to my own room to an apartment, and then I had to move back into my room to my dad's house, so I have more things than I need for one room. But I will be putting it all over in an organized manner to where it's not stacked on top of each other, but like posters of things. Just surround yourself, immerse yourself in the things that make you happy. But back to the point in case, art books, if you don't have the money for art books, sometimes nowadays I know for a fact that a lot of artists will put their art books up as like a digital art book, and they'll only be like $3. And then if not, just go through their page and like, for one perfect example, Tori Ann, one of my very good friends, Juicy Ink, is a fantastic art book, and like she's just phenomenal. I mean, look at how these are her color studies, and it's the inside of her covers. Just, I'm baffled. I could sit here and talk for hours about how freaking smart and creative Tori is, but each page is elaborately laid out. Like, her pieces are so vibrant and beautiful, and even if mostly, more than anything I pull from Tori, my inspiration is her dynamic, her poses, her color palettes. Like, you can go through here and like, even if I don't want to draw a girl, be like, you know what, I'm having a hard time incorporating green into my color scheme. Well, this is how she did it. and I can choose the same colors and see how she used these colors and do that myself. I'm not copying her. You do not want to do that, but you want to be like, this is how she did this. How can I incorporate this into my own style? But this is Tori Ann and Juicy Ink. I'll leave a link in the description to her stuff. This is an amazing book. Another artist, Jeff Stokely, he has, and you can definitely see, he has fantastic, crazy pen lines. And this is just his sketchbook. It's all black and white, and it is, you know, his line drawings, and his style is, it's so loose and it's so free, and I feel so constrained when I draw. And this is, I mean, if you can't find inspiration from anything else, always look to your fellow artists. And when I say make sure that you're not copying them, make sure you're not copying them. But the difference between copying and using an idea, be like, okay, so he drew this T-Rex, and look how dynamic, it's popping off the page. I appreciate his hatching in this. I want to incorporate his hatching into another piece. So I will study how he did it, because you can't patent like a hatching skill, but don't go draw a T-Rex with, you know, the same thing. Don't copy paste is what the point I'm trying to make. Pull elements of what inspires you out here. Skottie Young, another fantastic artist, and you'll definitely see I've emulated his line work. Is incredibly, like, as well, loose and just it's just messy and absurd and just so fun. What's amazing about his stuff is Skottie Young, well, he will sketch on his Cintiq, print out his piece, ink it traditionally, and then color it digitally, so like tradigital, using the traditional inks. And I think that's important because there is a vast difference in what you get out of traditional inking versus digital. But that's my personal preference. But that's just another example. I mean, I have so many art books. Like, if you are ever in a rut and, you know, the internet's not doing it for you, music's not doing it for you, your surroundings not doing it for you, you can always, always, always go to other artists and not make yourself feel bad. This is very important. When you go and look at other artists, look to them for creative inspiration. Do not look to them and see, man, my stuff is crap compared to them. I'm not there, I'm blah, blah, blah. You never compare yourself to anyone but yourself. And I know this is hard. We all do this. We are all guilty of this, and it's gonna happen. But it's important when you look and see how fantastic someone is, you don't go, this bitch. You say, this is my goal. I want to be where she is. So what elements of her work do I enjoy? What elements of his work do I enjoy, or his work? And can I incorporate that into my own? Study, experiment. That's one of the most beautiful things about art, is the experimentations were so limitless. There's no rules, there's no boundaries. Well, of course there's like perspective, anatomy, whatever, but none of this is anatomically correct. Like, as long as your proportions and your style is appropriate, you're good to go. But experiment. And, you know, if I have tons of art books, if you guys would like to see my art book collection, be it whether it be fandom based, like for movies or comic books, whatever, or whether it be through other artists, let me know, because I have a lot. But yeah, those are all the things I gather my inspiration from. That's how I do it. I pull elements and thoughts and sounds and colors and just whatever makes you happy. If you have any other questions about how I do this, please let me know. I hope you found this video helpful to yourself. Please be sweet to yourself and be sweet to others. Get creative, get motivated, get out there. Just go create something. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.